Anyway, so I was cut off a little bit just real quick. This is part two to me explaining the rest of the storyline behind being on the J. Edgar set for Clint Eastwood in Warrenton, Virginia, and Alexandria, Virginia. Uh, so, to finish my account of the story, I just met Clint Eastwood, and he had shaken my hand and told me that I was an idiot. Well, okay, no, that didn't actually happen, but I thought it was going on in the back of my head. So, when we spoke, he went hello, and I went hi, and he put out his hand, and I was like, oh my god, should I touch him? And I was like, yes, you should. And I was like, but he's a person. No, no, he's a god, so don't you dare look him in the eye while shaking his hand. So I almost kind of wanted to kneel like in Lord of the Rings or something, and then have him say like, you extras bow to no man. And I was like, well, okay, I don't know what goes on in my head, and I really apologize for making this long story so long, but it's really a lot shorter. So he shakes my hand, and I go, yeah, so this is paper I'd like you to sign with my old company logo on it. It's already been signed by a couple of people, Christopher Titus, Kevin Smith, who he's not you, obviously, and Dennis Leary, who you worked with when you were around here in a movie, I think, and he was like, yeah, in the Line of Fire. And at that point, I was like, oh my god, I'm talking movies with Clint Eastwood. I'm talking movies he was in with Clint Eastwood. I'm talking to Clint Eastwood, and I'm almost coherent. And I got his signature. It's the green one right there. So, now that I have 5 amazing signatures on this piece of paper, I think I'm almost ready to retire it before it starts fraying to the point of coming apart. Christopher Titus, Kevin Smith, Dennis Leary, Clint Eastwood. And I put it away, and before I had to go, I had to ask him. And I felt really bad asking a favor of a god. It seemed almost wrong in a lot of ways, but I was like, sir, I have to ask you. I have to. Could you please give me 30 seconds to run back to my car and grab something new for you to sign from my mom? And he actually looked kind of uncomfortable telling me this because I could tell he wanted to like treat his fans right, but he had to go, and he said, I'd like to, but we have to get moving. And he looked at the other guy, and the other guy said, yeah, we got to get going. And I was just like, I totally understand. You're right. Because I've been waiting all day just to get this one thing from my mom, because I don't get my mom a lot. I mean, she supports me pretty much by letting me live at her house. I'm totally willing to admit that. And go out on these journeys and find myself and try and figure out what I want to do with this career and do things like this. And, well, this was obviously the one job where she told me, if you don't do this, I'll kill you. So I owe her one. And he goes, but before he like finishes going, he says, maybe if you wait around a while. And I'm like, okay. And I waited, and I waited, and I waited for 2 hours. Actually, it was more like 45 minutes. But, I mean, at this point, I hadn't peed in 6 hours. I had nothing to eat. Everybody was getting food, including Clint. And it was cold. So it felt like 2 hours. And I couldn't go back to my car except to grab the thing and run back. And basically, I waited. And I didn't know if anything was going to happen. He went inside the building. I knew he'd come out. The only thing I had to bank on in this entire situation was the fact that I got in Christopher Titus. I got in Dennis Leary, even though we shouldn't have. We tried to get backstage and we still didn't get him, and then we got him. I got Kevin Smith, and that was the hardest one because we waited outside for an hour to try and meet this guy, and he almost left with his bus. And we were totally going to do like this Iron Curtain Wall solidarity thing to not let the bus leave the Warner Theater. Which, by the way, if any Warner Theater employees are watching this, that's totally a joke. Don't blacklist me from the theater. We got all these guys. And I got in Clint Eastwood for myself. But that was selfish. I had to get him for my mom. It was stupid for me to forget the thing right there and then when I had the chance. And the man said if I waited. And I knew Clint Eastwood was a man of his word. Sure enough, 45 minutes later, he comes out of the giant temple of doom. And he's talking with people, he's shaking hands. I'm like, God damn it, he's going to pass me, he's going to pass me, he's going to pass me. Because he's getting old and he doesn't wear glasses or anything, so you can never really tell where he's looking. And then I slowly kind of approached just to hopefully get into his field of vision. and he notices me, and he looks up at me, and it's like this old dude noticing somebody like across the counter at a butcher shop or thing. He's like, "Hey, you got that thing?" And I was like, "Yeah, I do, thanks." And and he waved me over, and he said, "Well, get out, and what do you need for it?" And I said, I just need you to sign this for my mom." And I had one of my business cards ready with her name written down on it, and it said to Zaina, so that my mom's name's kind of exotic. It's hard to pronounce and spell sometimes. Some people call her Zena, and I want to punch them. And he was like, okay. And the problem was is that I had one of these, and it was all black. This isn't his signature, by the way. This is a forgery. The real one my mom already has, like in a frame. But he looked at it, and I had a green marker, and he said, I don't think this is going to show up. And this was the best moment of the whole thing. He was like, I don't think this is going to work. And I look at him and I go, no, sir, it's okay. I already took a duplicate and I tested it out. And he was like, all right. And he signed it and he goes, oh, hey, yeah, no, that works. Wow. So I actually mildly impressed Clint Eastwood by showing that I wasn't a complete idiot to him after all this madness. And he signed it. He signed it to Zaina, love, Clint Eastwood. And at that point, I had no idea what else to say. And I'm sure the conversation got a lot more awkward. But basically, what I ended up telling him was, I remember a few years back, you were at the Oscars and you had your mom there. And to me, that is my end goal. Like, if I ever make it to the Oscars, I would not be in this. I wouldn't be allowed to do this. I wouldn't be able to do this. I still don't think my college career really is what pushed me into doing this. I think I wanted to do this even before my college career, and that was just kind of like a build-up sort of thing. But I think I've had a passion to be involved in the film industry because it's the only place in the world where I feel truly comfortable. And everybody in the DC community is full of wonderful people. And the end goal would be, just to show appreciation to my mom, who got me into this ever since I was little, and just bring her to the Oscars. I told Clint Eastwood about 5 seconds version of that. And I was like, it was just great seeing you bringing your mom there. And he was like, and this is where it gets a little awkward. He was like, well, yeah, she has since died. And I was like, oh my God, sorry. Because I don't know how touchy he is about that. You know. And he said, but it was really nice because we got to bring her like 2 or 3 times before that, and she was very happy. And I was just like, I just connected on an emotional level with Clint Eastwood. With Clint Eastwood. I was like, thank you. Just thank you for this. Thank you. I couldn't say anything else. At that point, people were starting to take pictures, and I was like, man, I should get a picture with him. I forgot that. And I was like, no, you gave me enough. I gotta be humble about this as much as I can at this point and just leave. So I jetted out. I was like, I'm going home. And the entire time I was just thinking, I did it. I did it. I made it. We did it. And yeah, that's really lame. But as I always say, you get the point. So thank you, Clint Eastwood. Thank you, DC area. Thank you, Central Casting. Thank you, PJ, Dan, Daniel Ross, who gave me some advice about being an extra. Everybody else that supported me on this, letting me get this far. I've been a lead. I've been a star in a couple of independent films. But being an extra on a Clint Eastwood movie, my first time out on a real film, I seriously, like an axe murderer could come up from behind me right now, and I could see it in the webcam, and I would just like look at it, and I'd be like, okay, like Matt Damon at the end of The Departed, I'd just be like, okay, but got to shake the man's hand, and that has always been one of my life's goals. Shake Clint Eastwood's hand and just say, you're awesome. So yeah, thank you everybody. I'm sure none of you have listened to this whole story all the way through. I don't blame you. I'm really a boring person, but that's me reporting on being an extra in J. Edgar. So keep it classy, DC.